from our favorite news outlet, the Times of India. Because the funny thing is, a lot of these big stories that generate a lot of attention, the corporate press overlooks. And websites like this have begun to pick these things up because people are looking for context. But it's a big story. Did Ohio AG candidate claim call to kill Trump? This is very poor. It's written by India, so what do you expect? But it's true.
I will say we did a better job on this one at the Post Millennial.
Oh, you do? You guys do have it?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we'll get yours instead. But we do have the post from Libs of TikTok, and then we'll pull yours up. Breaking, Elliot Forhan, Democratic candidate for Ohio Attorney General, says he's going to kill President Trump through capital punishment. Now, this guy previously served in the House of Representatives in Ohio during the 23-24 term. He represented the 21st district. Apparently, he lost the primary for this time around, and I'd assume this is just desperation. He's got a lot of controversies, though. He said F Charlie Kirk after Charlie was killed, and yeah. They say, the Wikipedia says, he's the son of two women whose wedding he officiated after Obergefell v. Hodges Supreme Court decision. Interesting. Look at that. Before he actually, in 2022, he won 73% to 26. Well, here's what he has to say about his campaign.
Hi, this is Elliot Forhan, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump.
Okay, no, you can't do all that stuff, brother. You can maybe get charges put against this guy. That's all you can do. Now, what did he say he's gonna? Can you play that first part of that again?
Where he says beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial.
Before that, when he says he's gonna put him on trial or whatever, this guy
to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction.
How is he going to obtain a conviction?
Of his
you hand it off to judges or
at
peers.
A standard of proof beyond
this guy's
a reasonable
telling you that
doubt,
he's going to
based on evidence.
Going to do some shenanigans and obtain a conviction.
He doesn't even tell you what the charges are. He doesn't say anything.
Well, they don't
about...
need any. Show me the man. I'll show you the crime.
Well, yeah, that's what he's
that's why I'm saying this distinction of I'll get a conviction is a completely meaningless distinction. They know exactly what the point is.
Well, he's running for office. He's going to say the most retarded things he could. You know,
well,
I like how he's using the boomer angle, and he's got like the lightning filter to make himself look a little lighter. You know, it's not the post-mortem glow up that Pretty got, but you know,
he's mirroring Tish James, who ran on going after Trump, and so did what's his name, Alvin Bragg, ran on going after Trump. Didn't Gretchen Whitmer say that? And Gavin Newsom raised like what, $50 million to go after Trump. I mean, they're all.
I guess they're going to keep upping
it.
the bar, like it was maybe deport Trump, and now it's kill him, and then
it's just. I love this post where it was like Donald Trump can storm into Venezuela and capture their president, but he can't arrest one journalist, you know, who stormed a church in Minnesota. He has more control over foreign countries than he does his own nation. Yeah. And I love the guys. I'm just going to call it coping and seething. Like, they're withdrawing the criminal complaint against Don Lemon because it's actually part of their plan. It's like, no, they wanted him arrested and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Trump's withdrawing Bovino, and there's rumors that Kristi Noem is going to get fired or reassigned, and he's basically not firing, but you're doing the administrative, like shove him in the corner, and they're like, no, that's actually Trump winning. It's like the reason you see these suburb cops arresting a bunch of these protesters, and these people are like, yeah, but now, you know, Tim Walz bent the knee. The police have come in. No, I'll tell you what happened. Trump agreed to pull out Bovino because he screwed everything up. His messaging was bad and Noem's messaging was bad. And the reason why the cops came and pushed the protesters out was because in exchange for Trump's retreat, they offered him safe passage. That's it.
Wouldn't a video like this get you killed in like CCP China? Like you just disappeared.
Oh yeah, you
Well, I mean, this.
I'm pretty sure the left like loves China, right?
This shows
loves China.
This right here is direct evidence that Donald Trump is nothing that the left says he is. If he was anything like the left says he is, this guy'd be in jail just because he'd send his Gestapo down there to pick him up and just toss him in a hole. That's
He'd
what
be
would
in the
happen.
stockade.
Yeah. Now, but what is real is we don't live in a Nazi, fascist, blah blah blah. We
No,
live
we
in a
actually
country
don't at all.
where retards like this can say this kind of stuff, and my eyes roll so hard that they almost fall out of my head.
You can see that with what's going on in like Iran and other places, and you can see directly that we have an inordinate amount of freedom, and all of our rights are protected and defended for the most part.
The left is
compared
just
to Iran anyway.
the left is clownishly ridiculous. Yeah, I can't take anything they say seriously, whether it be arguments on Twitter or these
Or this guy with two moms,
self-aggrandizing BS TikTok posts they put up. Like, it's just so exhausting. It's just like, all I can do is just roll my eyes and be like, you're just so gay.
Did this guy say, he just flat out like post a tweet where it said, I'm going to kill underline? He just said it with no context, and now he's like,
No, I think
explain?
this was the only thing he said.
Oh.
Yeah. The other thing, too, I mean, we saw Jay Jones just won in Virginia, even though he said he wanted to see the children of Republican colleagues killed. I mean, this is what they keep electing on purpose. So maybe this guy wins.
I got to add real quick just for the chat because I'm seeing a bunch of conflicting comments, and I'm curious. So it's split between Bovino was doing a great job. Okay, then why did Trump pull him out? If he was doing a great job, Trump pulled him out because Trump wants to change course, or what's the issue? Others are saying Trump is strategically retreating. It's not a defeat. Trump sent in Bovino. Kristi Noem was the boss. Trump is pulling them out, and I call it cope, right? That's fine. A strategic. I said yesterday, strategic retreat. I said it this morning is not defeat. Sometimes you have to do it, and I'll give him credit for that. I think he realized Bovino was causing damage, and the Stephen Miller message of this guy was going to massacre people failed miserably and made them all look bad. Now he's sending in Tom Homan, but any way you cut it, Trump decided the current leadership team wasn't working. He's pulling them out. That's it.
If you war game past conflicts and battles, especially, you'll see some. Often actually, like throughout history, where the winning side will lose battles pretty blatantly. If you want to consider this like a culture war thing, like sometimes you flank and you send in and you attack the front, and your guys just get it.
I would love
hard,
to see,
and you basically have no choice but to retreat.
I would love to see the Trump administration send ICE into cities or neighborhoods where they're welcome, like right-wing cities, to round up the illegals there.
They do.
But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you
but
don't
like
hear about
also-
it 'cause
yeah,
nobody's-
but like,
nobody's unhappy.
I would love to see like some pro-Trump
right.
propaganda where like you're showing the city people like welcoming ICE there and like celebrating them, giving them free food and stuff. Like
Is
would
that,
be-
I
that
don't
would be
know if
good.
that's happening.
I think it would. I think if you took ICE and had them do operations in like right-wing cities, you would see the general population be like, oh, we're glad you guys are here. Like, here's a free coffee, here's a free meal.
I got a question for everybody. When protesters were upset over masks during COVID, these were not overtly right-wing people or anything. It was just presumably like, hey, we don't want to, or no. A better example is the vaccine mandate protests. Antifa showed up and started mercilessly beating these people outside of a hospital. Story went super viral. How come we never see any conservatives forming vigilante or paramilitary groups to go and support the government operations of the Republican Party?
Yeah, there's always this messaging by the left that the right has all these LARPing like militia groups, but they never do anything.
They're not real. They don't exist.
And if they do, they're like really small and they show up in like U-Hauls and they just exist. They don't actually like
they were talking
perform
about
any operations. Like you're not seeing this violence.
They don't exist. I mean, when the left comes out and protests, you don't have paramilitary right-wing groups going just beating people outside of like a grocery store protesting plastic bags.
Yeah, you're not seeing right-wing groups burning down like Indian grocery stores.
Yeah,
Or,
but
you
I
know
mean,
what
like more to the
Like,
point of, if a bunch of leftists show up to protest meat, there's never a right-wing pro-Republican group that shows up and says, leave Cargill alone, and bashes them with sticks, the way Antifa does when people on the right protest Democrat policy positions.
I think it just further demonstrates that like the left is very like emotional. Like they don't have any kind of ability to control their emotions. They get violent easier, right? That's what.
But I'm saying they're organized.
They're
you
very
don't
organized.
randomly just show up and beat people at a protest. You know the protest is happening. You have legal apparatus to protect you in the event you get arrested. They've got the same clothes. They've got tools, shields, weapons. The left is completely organized on every front, and the Democrats actually have a paramilitary wing, and the right has nothing.
I mean, you've been to a lot of these protests on the field, and like what I've seen too, covering like especially like the anti-ICE protests in Dallas is like you will have these organized groups that will call together a protest, and then these people they all show up, and then you'll have like 5 or 6, depending on the size, people in like these vests, and they're the organizers, right? They're telling them what to do. They've got the loudspeakers. Hey, we need to back off, or hey, we're pushing forward. So like to your point, like yeah, you do have some sort of organization there, and you don't really see that in the right. Like I very rarely see right-wing big protests, but you don't have people like leading them. It's
not about protests. It's about, let's say a bunch of liberals show up to a grocery store saying meat is murder. There's no such thing as a right-wing organized group that shows up to beat them. But there are, when right-wing groups protest things like taxation or gun control, left-wing groups show up and beat them. There are organized leftist groups that align with Democrat policy to beat anyone on the right if they show up in the street to protest.
Well, there's a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, there's Rise and Resist. There was the Women's March last night. We had a reporter go into one of the Women's March virtual trainings, and they were talking about how in Minneapolis and St. Paul, hotel workers will call in the activists to do what they call wake-ups, and then all the activists show up outside the hotel to like bang on their drums and bottles and cans and whatever else they're doing and cause a little mess.
That's what I think is funny. I don't understand why conservatives think they would ever win a civil war when they have no fighters, no communications, no organization whatsoever. By all means, you can point out there are small militias that don't do anything, and they exist like we know there's a group of guys in the South somewhere.
I think part of that is that the right has more to lose, right? Like the people on our side, they have families, they're married, they have businesses, they're business owners, they own companies, they have more to lose. Where like if you're a leftist, like you're a blue-haired Starbucks worker who's single and you're on like 50 mental medications, like the idea of throwing your life away.
But how does that play into the fact that you could have a family and have a communication grid?
Yeah, you're right. But like you're less willing to perform these acts because you're like, well, I don't want to put myself in harm's way because I have 5 people that rely on me.
Have a group chat?
To do what? To chat about, to LARP about we're going to do something one day? Like,
no. The left has organized insurgent networks that are on standby. The right doesn't even have mutual aid groups the way the left does. Meaning the left are literally in group chats being like, bring food to this place. And the right doesn't have this stuff. They have small communities. But again, the point is, if there were to be any kind of civil war breakdown, all of these conservatives say things like, haha, look how dumb and fat they are. And I'm like, bro, you'd be routed in 2 seconds. You have no communications. By all means, you got guns in your basement. But what do you do when 7 leftists are surrounding your house with guns too?
Well, we used to have that with like churches, right? The churches used to come together.
They're
and,
not networked with each other.
Right.
The churches aren't necessarily networked with each other. I think what conservatives rely on is that the military would be on the side of law and order.
And we saw with Trump's arrest,
think that they're on the side of law and order.
We didn't see that in COVID.
Well. But it would have to be.
That's why I'm like, conservatives are going to get
the military
in 2
was
seconds.
like the police. They were arresting people. We had that in Texas. They literally arrested one of our state reps, Shelley Luther. She went to jail because she wouldn't shut down her hair salon.
Right.
Now she's a state rep.
LaMonica
but like our right-wing
got
governor
arrested in
sent
New
her
Jersey
to jail
for obstructing ICE.
So if it ever came down to it, conservatives are just fractured, disparate, no communications. They got guns, I'll give them that. So it'll be slow to conquer them, but communications, it's the most important thing. The reason why in the battlefields they played trumpets and banged drums was to signal the troops what to do. If you couldn't send the information, you couldn't win. And when you look at what's going on in Minnesota with this massive signal group that they keep rebuilding, and you know they operate in other states as well, you can see that if it all went tits up tomorrow, conservatives would be holding an empty bag saying, what do we do? And the left would be like, take these streets, take these bridges, take these depots.
In 2006, I personally decided that my protest is going to be online. I'm not going to go stand on a street corner and get rocks thrown at me. I'm going to change the world with my voice, like this show. Things like this is a protest. I mean, it's safer. Of course, if the networks get seized, then these can't happen. You got to go on the street. But in the meantime, we've been building out Rumble. These free, not we, but Rumble's been building out these free systems that can permeate and navigate the storm to maintain the revolution.
I'm going to read some of these comments because, guys, for those that are listening and commenting, I know it's the 1% rule, but if you can't understand what's being said right now, you will lose everything you have. And I'm going to make this clear for the people saying, Tim's wrong. Tim, I would die for my family. The left has thousands of people networked. They're dumb as a box of rocks. But if, let's say, a bridge collapsed, how are you getting from point A to point B? The first thing you're going to be doing is saying, I don't know what's going on. And what we see historically in every revolution, civil war, otherwise, is people turn their radios on, they turn the TV on, or they seek out a place where they typically gather information. So if you're talking about in the past, they go to city centers, town halls, or they go to churches. The left already knows what to do. They've pre-planned this. If a bridge goes down, it may be because they took it out. How do they get from point A to point B? That was part of the plan in the first place. They have supplies, food, and they know who's in charge. If everything collapsed tomorrow, conservatives would look to the government and they'd look to online communications. The left would be already in their mesh networks saying, what's our next move? They're 3 steps ahead of you. If you are not concerned about what we learned is going on with the insurgent groups in Minnesota, and you're sitting there saying, I've got guns and I'd die for my family, Tim, you're wrong. Congratulations. You are right. You've got honor, integrity, and weapons, and you would die for your family. Beautiful, and I respect that tremendously. Who are you with? Where are you going? Where does your water come from? Where does your food come from? And who is going to be in control of the weapons surrounding your jurisdiction? The left has already planned these things out. They already have your license plates. They know who you are. They know where you live. They probably know what weapons you have. And before any of that happens, they already know who they have in your neighborhood, and they're watching you already. That's why when James O'Keefe pulled in a rental car, they knew his phone number. They knew what he was driving. This means someone in the state had his license plate and gave access to the database to this insurgency network. And someone at the rental agency gave the information on the rental to this network as well. I'm sorry, if you can't understand that, you are cooked.
I think that the fact that the right doesn't protest is part of the reason why. No, I don't think that the right are as numerous and organized as the left, but I do think that there are groups of people on the right that are organized, and I think the reason people don't see them and they're more below they're not observed is because they don't go out and protest. They don't have the same kind of infrastructure because they're not out doing things.
Agreed. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.